Hey guys, what's up? It's a Cultural Detective here, investigating your favorite short films. Right now it is 1:13 a.m. in the morning on May 24th, and I really don't have time to do anything right now, but I have to do this. I really seriously have to film this video, because today I'm going to be talking about Love and Death in the Dying Light of Hong Kong, my latest short film, also known as short film number 6. This is the 6th short film I've ever made. Officially, if you don't count the YouTube videos that I make, if you don't count the stupid travel vlogs that I've made, if you don't count the silly home videos that I made that have little to no narrative, this would be my 6th short film. Love and Death, after Hard Like Soldier in 2017, Information Blackout in 2018, Dreams of an Empty Street in 2021, and earlier this year in 2023, Cloud Busting and My Bloody Valentine. And now we have Love and Death. So, this is a scene-by-scene analysis, but really, in this video, I'm going to talk about pre-production, production, and post-production of this short film. And this won't be one video. This will be, I think, 2 to 3 videos long, because there's a lot to talk about. Even that 2-minute short film, My Bloody Valentine, took me like 1.5 hours to explain the entire process of coming up with the story idea, shooting it, and editing it. So without further ado, in this video, I'll talk about the pre-production of Love and Death. I know everyone's going to be really bored listening to this video, but if you want to learn how to produce, this is the video to watch. So, okay, I'm going to scratch my back. So, how did I come up with the idea of Love and Death? It is the year 2022 in, I don't know, around maybe November, maybe in December. At that point, I saw my friend Thomas make his first short film, and I helped out. It's the first time I've ever helped out someone else with their short film. And then a month later, I helped my Japanese friend Aoba make her short film. And I was genuinely impressed, even though I don't think the script is great or anything. I'm sorry, Aoba, that's the truth. I think it's just insane the amount of people who are willing to help her to make her short film. Made me think, what if I also had this much help? What if I was also given this much creative freedom and power? What if I also had this much good ass equipment? I would have made something better. So after Cloud Busting and My Bloody Valentine, the 2 short films I made for film school applications, I realized I want to make a short film for myself once again. And this time I'm going to go ham. I'm not going to care about copyrighted music. I'm not going to care about being good. I'll just make a short film for myself, for my own personal pleasure. And I think in around December, I realized I have a perfectly great opportunity to film a short film because I'm going back to Hong Kong in late December and in the most part of January. So I thought it's a golden opportunity for me to go back to Hong Kong, to make a short film there, and to screen here in LA in order to show off my culture. And I realized this. And so my number one biggest reason to make a short film is I want to film Hong Kong. I've lived in Hong Kong 19 years and have made several short films there. But never had I ever truly made a truly Hong Kong short film where the locations are truly, truly Hong Kong. You know, Dreams of an Empty Street is just an alleyway and some streets, and then Information Blackout is there's barely anything Hong Kong styled about it. Jesus, the fan. And then another reason why I want to make my short film, okay, the second reason is because I saw other people do it and now I want to do it. The third reason is that I just thought I wanted to make a short film about lovelessness and a romanticism. So I guess at around November or December, I wanted to essentially write a short film about not being able to love because, again, I'm sick of romance movies, I'm sick of romance short films, and I really want to write an anti romance. And Dreams of an Empty Street, in a way, is anti romance, but I want to make something truly anti romantic. And I remember one day, a few days before I left, I went up to Pepper, my Hong Kong friend, and told her, like, hey, I want to make a short film about a guy and a girl hanging out, but turns out the guy cannot love the girl. And Pepper thought I was joking because it was such a silly idea. But that gave me even more reason to make a short film like that. So, a short film that is artsy, it's for myself, not for any applications or whatever. It's made in Hong Kong and it has to be very Hong Kong, and it's about lovelessness. And so I had to think of a story idea, and the thing is, I didn't have a story idea for this short film. For this short film, I'm just gonna wing it. So the thing is, I want it to be very, very, very artsy to the point where there's no story, and that's the challenge I gave myself. And the short film is going to be very abstract. It's not going to have any concrete plot or structure, and it's just going to be a vibe, a mood board, if you will, a series of feelings, and that's pretty much it. So that's the other challenge that I gave myself when I had to quote unquote write this short film. And yeah, I guess I always imagine what my film career would be like. And I would imagine that when I start off my movie making career, I would start off with horrors and thrillers that are short, maybe 1.5 hours long, but they're very to the point, they're entertaining. And then I'll try, writing and directing epic movies that are super long, super big, super ambitious. And then maybe in my late, late, late years, I would write and direct movies that are very slow paced, very abstract, very artsy, full of long takes, very quiet, and, about deeper topics like mortality and passing of time or whatever. And then I thought to myself, hold on, do I really have to wait 50 years to make those types of movies? If I already have the idea to make something like that now, why can't I just make that right now? So that's pretty much the reason why I thought about making this movie. This movie is almost an impersonation of myself in the future. This movie is what I think I would write and direct when I'm old, but I'm doing it now because I already have the idea now. And one other thing I really love is absurdly long short film titles and movie titles. I feel like a lot of movie titles nowadays are really short, to the point where it could just be like X or RRR or TAR or something like that, which is cool. But I also like absurdly long titles, like a Godspeed You Black Emperor album or something like that. So I just thought, you know what? Let's just make a long title. Let's just give this thing a long title. And again, I really love titles that include words like time and heaven and life and death and love and death. I said that already. And dreams and enemy and God and men or blood or something like that. Like big words like that. So I just thought, screw it. I'll just call this thing Love and Death and In the Dying Light of Hong Kong. And it's going to be a very long title. So that's where the title come from. Love and Death in the Dying Light of Hong Kong. So that's how this short film came to be. Now, the process of writing this short film was, I guess, not that complicated. Usually, when I write short films, I would have a few rewrites, but honestly, for this short film, I don't think I even had any rewrites. I wrote a poem. That's the first thing I did. I wrote a poem in December, and then in late December, I just came up with a few ideas. I had the idea of a montage where the main character talks about Hong Kong artists dying. We have best relationship is no relationship, which is something Potter actually told me. And one of the scenes is going to be a montage where it's like Ghost in the Shell, but like live action. Because if I can, if I see a montage in the anime and it's really cool, and I thought, well, I'm a Hong Konger, I can literally just do that with a camera in Hong Kong, so might as well. And also the ending to the Ozu film Good Morning is it hit me pretty hard, and it's basically a guy telling a girl, "Ooh, nice weather," but it's like the guy cannot for the life of him tell her that he loves her, and I just thought it would be a really good ending for my short film. And it's not even like love, it's just like there's nothing interesting to say at that point. And I just thought it would be a really interesting and thought provoking ending. And I didn't really start writing until January 2nd. I had sort of an outline for the script on January 2nd. And at that point, I found out that almost a whole year, almost 1.5 years ago, when I was still regularly going downstairs of my apartment to do push ups and sit ups at the park, at some point I had this really stupid movie scene idea. That's just a movie scene. It cannot be fit into any other stories. It's me doing push ups, getting interrupted by a random girl, and the girl telling me that essentially half a month later or a year later, if you don't have a six pack abs or like chest muscles or whatever, if you have a six pack abs or whatever, like you can visit my apartment, visit my bedroom, and it's sort of satirical, like come on, this is how you get laid, really. But it's also it also reflects how pathetic the main character really is to hallucinate something like this. And I thought I would never film this in my life because it's such a silly idea. But then for some reason, this scene just perfectly fits in life and death, love and death. So I ended up adding this onto the outline as the first scene. And then another thing is, I really want the main character to wander around Hong Kong, and I really need to give him an excuse, a good excuse. And I realized that a lot of my short films do that. A lot of my short films, the main character wanders around. In Information Blackout, the main character wanders around because he lost his password or something. In Dreams of an Empty Street, the main character wanders around because he's like horny and lost. And then in Cloud Busting, the main character wanders around because he lost his keys and he wants to find it. And it's such a silly thing, but I always have main characters wandering around for no reason. But then I really, really want my main character to wander around. And so I thought and I thought and I thought and I thought and I thought. And at the end, my solution is Agnes Varda's Cleo from 5 to 7. And essentially, it is the main character seeing a doctor, and the doctor said, "Oh, your test results will come back in 2 hours." So the main character has nothing to do but to kill time for 2 hours straight. And so in here, in Love and Death, it's the main character goes to a photography competition result place, and he can't know the results until like 2 hours later. So in early January, I started writing the script, and I didn't even finish writing the whole script until mid-January. And that is a huge issue because by that point, I had like 2.5 weeks left in Hong Kong. And I thought to myself, because this short film is going to be simple, because it's not going to be all that expensive or anything, it should be simple to film. Like, I have a camera, I have Sony a7 III. I know a couple people. The guy who helped me out with My Bloody Valentine, he can help me out. Totally. It should be easy. I was dead fucking wrong. It is extremely difficult. even more difficult in Hong Kong than in LA. In LA, I have connections. I know people. In LA, if you hire people, they can do it for free because we're all students and we're all helping each other out because we're all friends. In LA, a lot of people own cameras. A lot of people own Sonys and Blackmagics or whatever. A lot of people own bounce boards and freaking roadie mics. But in Hong Kong, it's so much rarer. So surprisingly, filmmaking in Hong Kong is like 100 times more difficult, and I totally did not expect that. So on January 16th, literally, I think 14 days, 2 weeks before I left Hong Kong, I met up with the insurance man, who was the guy who helped me, Cheng Chunhua, the guy who helped me make my Bloody Valentine. I met up with him to discuss my short film. And it is until that coffee meetup when I realize it's too late. 2 weeks sounds like a lot, 14 days sounds like a lot. Like, okay, sure, I'll find all the actors within 3 to 4 days, just DM some people. I can do all the pre-production stuff. I'll make a schedule, a budget, and a location list, and then a shot list, and then with these four things, boom, 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 we meet up, we film, it's all done. No, it's not that simple. It's not that fucking simple. Of course, it's always more complicated than it seems. So first of all, the insurance man, Cheng Shenhua, because he's been out of the film loop, in the young indie filmmaker loop, for some time now, he's lost a lot of connections. He still has some close friends, but there are barely any close friends of his who do filmmaking. Another reason why it's so difficult is because at that point, mid to late January, it's Lunar New Year, and everybody wants to relax. Everybody wants to go on vacation. Nobody wants to make short films. Nobody wants to do filmmaking. So I really decided to do a short film at a really bad time. And then yeah, on top of that, it's just equipment. I don't want to use my Sony A7 III because it's, I want to keep it for my own personal use. But of course, I also want to use it to film things. Like, why the hell else would I get it? But the issue is that the only lens I have is the Sony 16-35. You can't do jack shit with this. I mean, sure, a creative filmmaker could use one lens and film the whole movie. It's been done before, look at Moonlight. But really, for my short film, if you don't have a long lens, you can't do anything. So the only other solution is to use a Blackmagic, and my mom's company has a Blackmagic, and so for the longest time I thought I could just use that. So literally, I think 2 days later, on January 18th, I went to my mom's company's office to check out the Blackmagic cameras and lenses, and they all suck. First of all, I barely know how to use a Blackmagic. And even if the insurance man knows how to operate one, I don't like the look, and the lenses suck ass. They're all very not sharp. They're all very soft, and the zoom range is terrible. I want a wide lens, and the widest I can find is 7 to 14 millimeter, which sounds super wide, until you realize that Blackmagic is a micro 4/3 mount, which means that a 7 millimeter actually looks like a 14, which is also a fucking lie, because when I mounted a 7 millimeter onto the Blackmagic, it looks like 35 to me. I don't know why. So after that, I thought I would never use Blackmagic again. This is just silly. I would never use a Blackmagic for any of my short films. I use a Sony camera, or I use a cinematic camera, like a fucking Red or Ari or some shit. Like, I'll never use a Blackmagic. This is it for me. At least there are long lens, like there are like 30 something mil to 50 something mil, and 50 something mils look like 120, which is long enough, so that's cool. So really, I don't know what to do. So I don't have equipment. And then another thing is my mom advised me not to use the company's black magic and also not to use the company as location, the company office, when in fact one of the locations in my short film is the office, and without my mom's company's office I literally cannot think of any other possible location. So I was pretty much screwed without locations. And of course, I finding locations is quite fun for the short film actually, because most of the locations that I ended up using in the short film are places that I went to with people like Natalie and Pink, um, and Miriam and Zara in Hong Kong in the first 2 weeks of January. And I just thought, wow, this location looks really nice. Let me write it down. Let me take a photo, write it down, and I'll just use it as a filming location. And of course, I'm a terrible person, so I don't need to request for permits or anything. I'll just bring a camera there, film it there, and then just get the fuck out of there. I don't need a permit. I'll do it guerrilla style. I'll do it run and gun, I'll do it completely improvised. So that's that. But the one place that I really truly do need is the office. And without that, it's a huge fucking issue. So yeah, for the next 10 days, since January 16th, from the 16th to the 25th, it's been extremely stressful every single day. Because as every single day passes, I'm beginning to think of giving up. I realize I don't have enough time. I don't even have the money. I have the money. I technically can, but it's so much more expensive than I thought it would be. Why? Because in Hong Kong, no matter how small the production is, you have to pay everyone. And because this short film, Love and Death, is like 15 pages, like 15, 16 pages or minutes, it's definitely not going to be a 1 day shoot. It's going to be at least 3 days. And 3 long days. And if I give $2,000 each day, 2,000 Hong Kong dollars, that is 6,000 for a person. And that's not even counting lunches. So yes, it's a lot more expensive than I think it is. Also, for a long period of time, the insurance man, Cheng Chunhua, didn't even respond to my Instagram DMs. And so I turned to another person for help. I turned to the previous producer who helped me produce Dreams of an Empty Street. I turned to him, and as expected, he's really busy because he's doing real people shit. He's doing real filmmaker shit. I'm doing my little indie, silly, goofy, little artsy thing. He's doing actual industry shit. So of course he's busy. And so he doesn't respond to me for like 2-3 days, and then he responds saying something and it leads to nowhere, and then I have to wait for another 2 to 3 days. So it's a lot of waiting and it's a lot of anxiety. It's a lot of just suspense and thinking that, okay, nobody's responding to me. I don't have the gear, I don't have the people, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. It gets worse and worse and worse. So next crazy ass thing I did was on January 20th, I wrote a Facebook post on a Facebook group that is particularly for hiring actors in Hong Kong. I wrote a Facebook post and I was so professional about it. I used a template given by me from the insurance man, and I made a little Photoshop, little improvised poster, and I essentially wrote a very convincing Facebook post about support independent Hong Kong filmmaker, support local Hong Kong filmmaker. And if you say that, a lot of people would want to help. I say support Hong Kong culture, and now people want to help. And then I say it's art house, and I make it sound really interesting. And holy crap, this is one of the first few moments that gave me hope, because on the same day I received 14 DMs because of this Facebook post. And then on the next day I received even more. And I think in total I had almost like 30 or 40 people who DM'd me on WhatsApp about wanting to be an actor, and strangers keep popping up on my phone. I keep receiving their headshots and their little self intros, and oh my god, I've never been this overwhelmed. Like, I would be out having lunch with friends and I would look at my phone and I would see so many new notifications, and it would both make me feel intense, it would make me feel nervous because okay, this is real now. I have to make a short film now. And also at the same time, it's like, oh my god, how have I never done this before? And also, oh my god, who are even these people? So I have to do several things. I look at how dedicated they are. If they say something like, hi, interested, without anything more, then okay, you're here because you're here. You're not actually serious about acting in my project. If they don't give me a headshot or a photo of them or like a reel, then I would ask them for a reel. But essentially, in my WhatsApp, I would have um, template texts where I would just copy and paste. I'm sorry, um, I already found the actor. Actually, I haven't. But I would like to work with you again in the future! Exclamation mark. Bye bye. If they look the part and if they act like they're actually serious about acting my project, I would go further. I would send them a script. Okay, so here's a script. Tell me what you think of it. What's your availability? Are you available on these days? And then more and more and more, and more people you get, left. More people. What's the word? Weed it out. More and more potential actors got weeded out and didn't make the cut. And then at the end, for the main character, at the end, I went for the same guy who did Dreams of an Empty Street with me because I've worked with him, and I realized that, yeah, he's not the greatest actor ever. He's a little over dramatic, but the fact that he's worked for me before and I know him helps a lot. So I just send him a DM over Signal, and he's like, yeah, of course I'm free on these days, which is shocking. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure about this? You're free? Really? And he's like, yeah. And so I got him as the main character. Do I regret it? Maybe, maybe not. But it's definitely better to work with someone you've worked with before. So with that said, I'm only looking for the supporting male character and the main female character. And I had to narrow it down. So that was pretty wild. But even so, even with the actors, it's still not enough. As every single day goes by, it gets more and more nerve-wracking for me. On January 24th, literally 2 fucking days before the first day of shoot. By the way, I actually plan to start filming on like January 24th. And on that day morning, I was still not sure. And even on the day before the shoot, I was still not 100% sure if I can actually start filming. My mom at the end let me use the office, but I still need equipment. I still need sound. I still need cameras and stuff like that. And so I had to ask Paco, the guy who produced Dreams of an Empty Street, for people. But I don't want to do that because if I ask him for crew, it's going to be professional crew and it's going to cost way more. So I really don't want to do that. But at some point I thought, okay, final resort. I'm just going to ask him. And I asked him too late, and he said, yes, I know people, but it's too late. You want to film like 5 days later, 4 days later? It's too late. You should have told me way earlier. And then Cheng Chunhua, the insurance man, finally responds. Turns out he was out of town. He was back in China visiting his family. He finally comes back and he tells me that he's only available. So that other guy who helped me with My Bloody Valentine, the other crew member who did the gaffing and the gripping, He's not available. And then it is only on, I think, January 26th morning, literally in the morning of the first day of shoot, like at 6 a.m., the guy told me that he won't make it for day 2 and 3, which is the 27th and the 29th. What in the actual fuck? So my mom really helped me by immediately finding a coworker of hers who can potentially help me. And so Chang Chenhua on day 2 and 3 is replaced with someone else, replaced with Chang Sek Lun, who you can also see in the end credits. But essentially, he became my right hand man, essentially, instead of Chang Chenhua. So what a save! What a fucking save! And it isn't only until in the afternoon on January 26th when Sek Lun told me, okay, I'm available tomorrow and on the 29th to help you film. And it's such a fucking save. It's such a clutch. Without him, I would have 100% given up. But it's so funny because when I learned this news, I wasn't even that shocked. Because at that point, so many bad news came to me that it didn't even like shock me anymore. It's just like, okay, what now? What's new, you know? And then on top of that, on January 25th at night, I ran towards my mom's company's office in order to charge the wireless microphones because apparently my mom's company owns wireless Rode microphones, lav mics as well. And it was really intense because I was supposed to play live action role play with my friends in an office building nearby, my mom's company's office. And it was such a golden opportunity too because it's like nearby, it's like 5 minutes away. And my mom's like, you have to charge the microphones right now. Right now, you won't have time tomorrow. And my mom's overreacting because actually it was fully charged. When we used it the next day, before I even charged it, it was already fully charged. So there's literally no fucking point for me to run over to my mom's company's office to charge the lav mics. But I did that, and that was pretty wild. And yeah, another thing is, on another day, another huge glimpse of hope came, and that is my mom's other coworker owns a 70-200 f4 Sony lens and is willing to give it to me for free for a few days. And holy fuck, when I looked at his list of lenses and cameras and gear, I was like, oh my god, that is exactly the lens I need. Fucking exactly. With a long lens and with my wide lens, I can make this short film. I can actually do it. This is the perfect lens for me. So that's what I did. Except when I found out about that, it was already too late. I was like 2 days away from the film. And the only day I can get that lens is on January 26th, which means that in the middle of the shoot of the first day, I will have to randomly leave the shoot and go all the way up north to Hong Kong, to northern Hong Kong, to find him, get his lens, and go all the way back to Mong Kok, which is in central Hong Kong, to continue the filming, which is wild. But that's the only thing I can do. That's the only thing I can do. There is literally no other option. So as you can tell, with the gear, with the people, with the budget, with the actors, I was literally on thin ice the whole time. The last 2 weeks of January was me on thin ice. Me balancing myself on a skinny, thin string. Every single day I was so close to giving up. I was absolutely close to giving up. And it's an absolute miracle that it actually happened. Like even on January 26th in the morning, on day 1 of shoot, I had a hard time believing that it's actually happening, that I'm actually filming, because it's such it's such a ridiculous thing. Like anything could go wrong. Anything could go wrong. So yeah, and I didn't even finish the shot list until like a couple days before the shoot. Like it's fucking crazy how I managed to pull it off. It's actually a miracle. People watch the short film and think, "Wow, it's so well made. There must be a lot of preparation." No, there isn't. I almost gave up. It was so poorly prepared. But I think in a way, this really prepared me for being part of the producing team for my college's final year project, my college's film program's final year project. Because now I truly know the ins and outs of pre production, the location scouting, the gear list, the location list, the actors list, the cast list, the crew list, the list of props, the budget, the fucking everything. Yeah.